Hey there, I'm DJ Schurz. I'm going to show you how to hook up a ping distance sensor and a servo to the EZB. An ultrasonic distance sensor receives distance by sending a ping out one speaker and receiving it through the microphone of the other. The time it takes to bounce back, just like how a bat works or sonar in a submarine, determines how far away the object is. I've taken an ultrasonic sensor and I've attached two servo wires to it. One contains the power and ground and the trigger, and the other one contains the echo. I've used a hot glue gun and attached it to a servo mounting piece. Now we can take this and attach it to the top of the servo. Now let's plug the power and trigger into D0, the echo into D1, and the servo into D8. And pay attention to the polarity when you plug these in. The ground wire is always in the center. And now because we have the sensor mounted onto a servo, we can use a really cool control called the radar scanner. And the radar scanner will actually move the sensor back and forth and provide us with a larger view of distances. And go to ping distance and load the ping radar. Click your configure button and let's select the trigger port for our D0, our echo port for our D1, and our servo port. Now press the unpause button. So in the front of your robot you can attach the sensor and then you can put it on top of a servo so it moves back and forth and it can see more objects rather than just seeing directly what's in front. There's also different values you can select inside of the config. For example, you do the trigger port, the echo port like you have just seen, the scan interval, so that's going to be how long it takes between positions and scanning. So you can lower that number and make it move a lot quicker. There's also the servo port. There's the minimum and maximum position, so the servo will only move to the number of positions you specify in either direction. Below that, there's the only scan when moving forward option. So if you're using a movement panel or a Roomba or an H-bridge, for example, then your robot will only start scanning when it's moving forward so it can start avoiding objects. The option below that is control movement panel. So if an object is detected within the range you can specify, which is below here, we currently have it set for 20 inches, by turning that on, you can actually allow your robot to be able to avoid obstacles and drive around them without having to write any code to be able to do that. So what I have here is a Tamiya bulldozer that I've put together, and I've added two modified servos to make it move. And I'm going to add it to this servo here. I'm going to plug the servo into the board. I'm going to plug it into, here is D7. And then I'm going to plug the two movement servos into some higher ports up here, D14 and D13. And there we go. So here I'm going to select only scan when moving forward, control movement panel. I'm going to make the minimal distance 10 inches and the turn delay 400 milliseconds. Now I'm going to add a modified movement panel, which I'm going to configure for the two servo ports that we added the servos to, which was D13 and D14. Now we're going to have a robot drive and see it avoid obstacles.